I am 29, my sister Mel is 25, I also have a younger sister, Kayla, 18. When I was just 12 years old, my mother decided to send me away from home to live with her parents. They lived a couple of states away, about 8 hours. She claimed they needed my help around their property, but I believe she simply didn't want to deal with a growing teenage boy. I'll admit, maybe I wasn't the easiest to deal with, I got in a lot of trouble. But I blame it on my curiosity. And I was bored. Luckily, my grandparents had an incredible estate in the mountains, featuring breathtaking views and wonderful animals such as horses, goats, a couple of cows, and other critters. They happened to be quite wealthy as well. Some context and a long-winded background story, being with them literally changed my life. There was so much to do around there, not just on the property, but I was able to ride my dirt bike around. There was fishing, hiking, and swimming. I met a lot of cool people who shared the same interests as me, and as much as I resented my mom for sending me away and not really having anything to do with me much after, I look back now and thank her for that, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I had stayed. Not only that, but I will say that she never had a great relationship with her own parents because she found them to be too strict. But their firmness gave me a sense of order and purpose that I was lacking. And they weren't cold people. I just like to think that she actually became jealous of the way that I was treated by them, because I think it was a lot different than her experience, for a number of reasons, but I think the times were different too. They were really working to get the farm to a good place financially, and I think that happened for them after my mom was long gone and moved out of their home. But I think my mom saw how I was actually flourishing with them and really hated that. And in turn, hated me. But yeah, we just didn't have a relationship with each other much after I left. I mean, I never went back there, not even for holidays, so that says it all. My grandparents were such loving people and they were always encouraging me to just be me and learn and work hard. They taught me valuable life lessons that I've carried with me to this day. Even though they had money, I never looked at them as people who had money. They didn't flaunt it. They didn't push it in people's faces. They were so hard-working and generous. They worked for everything they ever had. And they were always giving what they could to people who didn't have much. Folks were always coming over and sitting at our kitchen table with us for lunches and dinners. Sundays was a special day for that. Anyways, I remember my mom always saying that she never really liked them because they were really strict with her and didn't let her do anything. So the minute she turned 18, she moved away to the city where she met my dad. And then she followed my dad a couple of states away, where they currently reside. He had taken advantage of this new job opportunity, and they got married and started a family. My parents ended up getting divorced shortly after I went to live with my grandparents. My grandparents said she used to sneak out of the house a lot and tried to get away with sneaking her boyfriend into the house and they just wouldn't allow that. And I get that, that's sort of a rule they gave me while I lived with them too. No hanky-panky under their roof. I get it. But the older I got, the more I realized my mom was just a real wild one. So I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And I think my grandparents tried to make up for that by how they treat me. I guess I never received the treatment that she got when she was with them. But whatever it is. They were more parents to me than my own parents. Unfortunately, they both passed away 4 years ago from COVID. They left me with the property, believing that I would appreciate and take care of it more than my mother and sisters who received money and other assets valued higher than the property. In the 4 years since, I have transformed part of the property into a popular wedding venue, and another part of the property in a pretty swell bed and breakfast. I've also made it possible to do your own pumpkin patch picking and I've set up a little corn maze that people like to take part in the fall. My grandparents really set me up for life, and I'm so grateful for them. I really tried my best in the last 4 years to make this place enjoyable for everyone. I still try to do Sunday brunch here as well for anyone who wants to pop in. I've really worked to keep that tradition alive. And because of all of that, this property really does give back to me in so many ways. I feel very fortunate. The wedding venue is a popular spot and is typically booked out for about 8 months of the year. When my sister Mel got engaged a year ago, she immediately expressed her desire to have her wedding at our property. I eagerly agreed, but reminded her to let me know the date as soon as possible so I could ensure its availability on the calendar. So a bit of context with my sisters, we maintained a pretty good relationship growing up. They'd come to spend about a month or two with me and our grandparents every year. Like I said, I never went back home. But we had so much fun together. We didn't ever talk about our mom, we just existed together. And it was great. It was nice to have them around. But as we got older, Mel stopped wanting to come, and Kayla didn't want to come if Mel wasn't coming. But we still tried to talk on the phone and text and video chat when we could. Anyways, I never got a date from Mel, which was frustrating. I started getting anxious and followed up several times. I kept asking her to the point where I was even annoying myself, and she would brush me off. She'd be like, "Oh, I'll ask George, her fiancé." Well, 3 weeks ago I get the wedding invitation in the mail. The invitation says the name of my property and the address, along with the date and time that she never confirmed with me. The date is August of this year. My heart drops. June to August are busiest months and I already know they're booked up. I quickly phoned her to let her know that the date she requested has already been booked and I'm sorry, but I'm unable to make room for her. Then I ask why she didn't tell me sooner. She apologizes and tells me that she's just had so much on her mind and she feels stretched then. And I say, Mel, I told you that you had to tell me right away because this place gets booked up 8 months in advance. She starts crying and she says I need to work my magic and make this happen because she thought she told me the date. She's put all of the deposits on the caterer. She's not using our caterer BTW. She's using an outside caterer, she photographer, and whatever else. She said she sent out the invites to over 200 people already. I said, Mel, the weekend you want is already booked and they've already put their deposits down. They left us a deposit 9 months ago, in fact. I can't just cancel their wedding when they were responsible enough to get their venue sorted out. Well, she calls me selfish and she said I'm ruining her whole wedding and there must be something I can do. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions as Mel's accusations pierced through me. I never wanted to disappoint her, but I couldn't ignore the commitments I had made to other couples who trusted me with their special day. Mel, I'm truly sorry that this has happened, but I can't just cancel on another couple to accommodate your wedding. Mel's sobs echoed through the phone, and her words came out in between what sounded like hiccups. But this is my dream wedding, and everything is falling apart now because of you. And I said because of me? You didn't send me the date when I repeatedly followed up with you. This is on you. She starts sobbing and she tells me that Grandma and Grandpa would be so mad at you. Taking a moment to collect my thoughts, I spoke firmly yet calmly into the phone. Mel, I understand that this is important to you, but you need to understand that I have obligations to fulfill as well. I'm running a business here, Mel. I can't just disregard the commitments I've made to others who have entrusted me with their special day. I told her that she needs to figure something else out and I end the call. Well, within the hour I get an unknown number calling my phone. I pick up, it's my mom. She tells me that I'm being completely disrespectful to my sister and that I'm just jealous and I'm trying to ruin her day by making up excuses. She said if I don't book my venue for my sister that she's going to get her and her friends to blast the venue's socials and give me bad ratings. She said I'm just being an entitled brat and trying to play God. I literally laughed at her and I told her to go ahead. I said how is it that other people can manage to book in advance and get a confirmation from a venue, and yet my sister can't do the same thing? I said wouldn't that make her the entitled brat thinking that I was just going to drop everything and cancel someone else's wedding for her? I said, she's had a whole year to give me the date, I followed up with her, and I have a paper trail of every single conversation we've had, chains of emails, and not one says a date or a time. I said the only confirmation I receive of a date and time is the invitation I just got in the mail. My mom said that I need to put whatever issue I have with her and whatever resentment and bad blood I'm carrying from childhood and stop trying to take it out on my sister. And I said, whoa, how does that have anything to do with Mel? And she said you tell me, you're the one ruining this for everybody. And then I said, I don't think you know how a business runs. Clearly I can't explain this to you any further and you don't even want to hear what I have to say. You haven't contacted me in years and the first time you do is because my sister fucked up and thinks she can get whatever she asks for from a reputable business. Sorry, but find somewhere else. Other family members, her partner's family, and some of her friends have all been attacking me. They are calling, texting, and leaving negative reviews for my business just like my mom said. I've turned comments off of my posts. I have asked them to stop, but they continue to harass me. I tried to tell them my side of my story with no avail. I even contacted my sister Mel again and told her that all she had to do was let me know the date of her event so I could make arrangements. She started yelling at me, claiming that I was ruining her day. Her fiancé even got involved and started cussing me out and telling me that I've ruined everything. Mel said the property belongs to our family. She had already sent out the invitations and couldn't back out now. She wanted me to cancel on the other couple who have been booked for a year now. She said she's just going to get the guests to show up anyways and everything is going to go as planned on her end. I decided to only communicate through business channels like our recorded phone line and emails. If anybody called in to talk about the matter, I told them to transfer the phone to me to deal with because they were starting to harass and verbally assault my staff. I tried to compromise and suggested 3 alternative dates around the same time but they were during the week and significantly less expensive, but that wasn't good enough for anyone. I said if her and her guests do end up showing up on the same day as the other couple, I'd have no choice but to turn people away, after they'd come all that way, and to potentially get the police involved. Ada? Update, okay. I'm back with an update. There's been some interesting developments. First of all, eventually I just said that if I catch any of them or their guests on my property on or around that date, they'll get arrested for trespassing. So then shortly after I really put my foot down, I get a call from my sister Kayla saying that mom's gone and hasn't told them where she's gone to. She's been gone for 2 days. I'm like okay. And Kayla's like yeah, just be careful, she might be heading your way. And I said she wouldn't have the guts. But, turns out, she did have the guts. Who rolls up after hours other than my very own mother who I haven't seen in person since my grandparents passed away. She's in the family van. I guess she must have driven all that way. She pulls right up to my house, Gets out and starts knocking on the door and yelling and saying that she knows I'm in there because the lights are on. So I got to the front door, and without opening it, I'm like, if you don't leave now, I'm going to call the cops because you're trespassing on my property. And she said, you can't call the cops. I grew up here. This is my house. So then she tries to get at the door and she's literally heaving on the handle, and then she's using her full body weight to try and open the door. I'm like, "Okay, well, here we go." I call the cops and I tell them what's happening. At this point, my cameras are also recording everything too. So yeah. She's essentially breaking down my door when the cops arrive. They arrest her and take her in. Her van gets towed. I call my sister Kayla and tell her what happened, and Kayla starts crying, but she gets it. I said this isn't her fault and it's not on her. I said mom made her own choices and it's led her to where she is today. The next day I get a call from Kayla and she's like, "You gotta sit down." And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, but mom's been lying to everyone." Apparently my mom had told Mel that she could help out by booking the caterer, the photographer, and putting all of the deposits down for everything else. Mel took this as genuine because she was actually getting pretty overwhelmed with the whole wedding planning thing. I guess Mel is actually pregnant. She hasn't told anyone but Kayla, our mom, and her fiancé. She's been pretty sick and she actually hasn't been feeling all that well. So I felt pretty bad about that. But anyways, yeah, so Mel was thankful for my mom's help. She gave my mom the cash to do all of this. But I guess my mom gambled the cash away. So when Mel went to contact all of these other vendors to potentially change the date to something that was available here, all of the vendors that my mom was supposed to contact said that nothing had been set in stone yet and no deposits had been made. That's when they started doing some serious digging and discovered that my mom was totally broke and the bills and utilities hadn't even been paid. Kayla found letters hidden in my mom's room that said the house was in danger of being foreclosed. Well, she had no idea. Nobody had a clue. Apparently Kayla was talking to our dad and he said he received a few calls from our mom asking if she could borrow some money. He asked what was going on and she said she just owed some people some money and said she's been having a hard time mentally. Not only that, but when our mom received her inheritance, she quit her job, so she didn't even have an income coming in. I called Mel and told her that Kayla told me everything and that I was really sorry. She started crying and said she was sorry too and she had no idea. She said mom was really pushing her to have the wedding at my property because she was saying that I likely would let them get married here as a gift, so it would be free. Apparently my mom said she'd take care of that. But she's been so sick with this pregnancy that she forgot to tell me the actual date. She legitimately thought she had told me. And I said that I was sorry for speaking to her that way. She said she was sorry too. She said nothing's even booked, so the wedding has been technically postponed to the same time next year. In looking at my books and the calendar, I said that date and time was totally free for next year. I said I'd give her a significant discount on the venue and our caterer. Edit, the house ended up getting foreclosed. My mom actually never returned home. She went to go and stay with some cousin of hers down south. She doesn't speak to me, nothing new, or Mel, but she texts Kayla just letting her know she's okay every now and again. Kayla's going to live with Mel while things get sorted, I guess. I'm trying to stay out of it. But she's staying with Mel until she goes to college, and she's welcome back in the summers. She also has plans to come stay with me every now and again, and we're thinking everyone can come out here for Thanksgiving this year. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Found out my wife was cheating on me with her sister's husband. So we exposed their affair during a family movie night using a hidden camera video. My name is Jason, and I want to share my story with you. This story is about a time when something really hurtful happened to me. It involves my wife, Elena, and her sister's husband, Mike. They did something that made me very sad and angry. It felt like a big shock, like lightning striking me. My heart was full of pain. I couldn't believe that someone I loved could do this to me. The hurt went deep, like a cut that takes a long time to heal. The pain was so strong that it made me want to do something in return, to make them understand how much they hurt me. My feelings were like a fire, pushing me to act. The betrayal I had received from them taught me the worst realities of life. It all started when I decided to step into online dating, which was something that I had previously avoided. As someone who valued face-to-face interactions, I held reservations about the genuineness of these digital platforms. However, the absence of promising connections within my nearby surroundings compelled me to take a leap of faith. As I went through countless profiles, each appearing more ordinary than the previous, I came across Elena's profile. Her profile picture emitted some magic towards me that immediately captured my attention. Her unique passion for skating, a pastime I also held close to my heart, aroused my curiosity even further. With a mixture of careful hopefulness, I made a right swipe, and much to my surprise, our profiles matched. Little did I know that this apparently non-toxic online connection would steer me into a far more complicated and unsettling phase of my life, full of twists and turns that I could have never even imagined. Elena and I began our journey together, and we immediately developed a great loving bond. This strong connection grew due to our mutual fondness for socializing and outgoing personalities. As a result, our companionship became cozy and familiar. Life seemed great as we got settled just perfectly with each other. However, relationships are often more complex than they appear. Our story took an interesting turn when we welcomed Elena's younger sister, Selena, and her husband, Mike, into our lives. Since we all lived so close to each other, our interactions with them went beyond the usual interactions you might have with relatives. Instead, we became inseparable companions who enjoyed going on double dates and simply hanging out together. We had a really good bond, we hosted each other often, and living so close, we felt a sense of security and acquaintanceship. Mike, in particular, played an important role in my life. He became like a caring and supportive older brother. He became more than just a friend to me. It's amazing how our journey brought Elena and me closer together and extended our circle of family-like connections through Selena and Mike. Our close friendship with Selena and Mike made the unexpected revelation later occurring in our lives even harder to bear. It all started innocently enough with a visit from Mike to our apartment. It happened when one day, I came back from the office and saw Mike leaving our apartment. He said he had come to return something that Selena had borrowed. At that moment, I didn't think much of it and didn't suspect anything was wrong. But as days passed, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was just not right. The way Mike had acted during that visit began to play in my mind like a puzzle. His explanation had been vague. Looking back, it seemed like he was hiding something. My mind started connecting the dots, and slowly, the truth emerged after a few more such weird incidents. The trust we had built over time had been shattered in an instant. The bond we shared with Selena and Mike had been a smokescreen hiding the truth. The revelation hit me hard as if the ground had been pulled from under my feet. The friendship that once felt unbreakable was now broken, and the hurt ran deep. Reflecting on those moments, it became clear that sometimes things are not as they seem. The closeness we feel with others might mask hidden secrets. It's a painful lesson that taught me the importance of truly knowing the people we invite into our lives. This all was revealed when my everyday routine was disturbed one day after receiving a distressed call from Selena. Her voice carried a weight of urgency and that just caught my attention instantly. It was clear that something of huge significance had happened. She was crying a lot and just asking to meet in person to talk. Her voice was trembling, which showed the gravity of the situation. Without hesitation, I made up my mind to respond to her call for help. Even though I was quite busy that day and I had no time, I could not dismiss Selena in such a condition. In this scenario, it was clear that Selena needed my help, and she needed it now. However, her request for secrecy added a layer of complexity to the situation. She asked me not to call Mike or Elena, which was strange to me. I was suspicious and worried, but I excused myself from my work. On my way to Selena's place, I thought of every aspect that could have occurred for her to call me so urgently. But upon getting to know the reality, I realized my mind could never even work up to that extent. I had no idea that my life was going to fall apart that day. A heavy feeling filled the air as I stepped into Selena's house. Selena looked really sad, her hair all messy and her cheeks wet from tears. Her condition pointed out a very miserable story ahead. I asked her what had happened and why she was crying so much. She remained silent, but I did not stop questioning. By that point, I was extremely concerned. Without saying a word, she took me to her baby's room. I thought maybe it was something concerning the little baby girl. Though I was surprised that she would have called me for such an issue there, she started a video. The video was about to change everything, and I had no idea. At first, I was completely puzzled by what she was attempting to show me. However, my confusion quickly turned into shock and astonishment as I saw Elena and Mike stepping into the baby's room and having sex with each other. My jaw dropped open, and I found myself utterly incapable of forming any reasonable words. My gaze was locked on the intimate scene on the screen, unable to comprehend what my eyes had seen. It was a thing I never could have thought of. The love I shared with Elena was not less enough for her to be in intimate bonds with some other men, and that too her brother-in-law. A few seconds later, my gaze shifted to Selena, who met my stunned expression with a knowing look. In the silence that came after, Selena's sad eyes met mine. Her face looked like she was feeling a lot of different things, just like I was. She whispered, "You're absolutely right." That little sentence held so much meaning. It showed how deeply we both felt hurt by the people we trusted. We were going through the exact same pain. I needed to sit down because everything felt heavy and confusing, and it was too much for me to take in. The truth fell like a huge rock on me. It was hard to understand that the people I loved and trusted the most had done something so hurtful to me. It was like a big shock that I didn't know how to deal with. Selena and I were both really upset because our partners did something that hurt us a lot. We decided to talk to them about it together because we both felt the same way. But we did not want to do it so simply. We had to now plan an act of revenge for the betrayal we had received from our beloved partners. So we planned a specific day for this. Selena thought of gathering all of us at her house. A day or two later, the four of us were there at Selena's place. It felt kind of tense and uncomfortable because nobody was saying anything, but you could feel that something was wrong. She wanted us to watch a movie together, like a fun thing to do. But then, something changed. Selena took the CD and put it inside the CD player. Then the unexpected happened. Instead of a regular movie, a video started playing. This video was the same one that Selena had shown me. It showed Elena and Mike in a situation that wasn't right, and they had no idea they were being recorded. When the video started playing, a wave of emotions swept through the room. Elena's and Mike's faces turned various shades of reddish, revealing the depth of their guilt and shame. The atmosphere in the room changed. They had not expected it in their wildest dreams that this was all caught on a video, and they were caught red-handed. Overwhelmed by a rush of emotions, I slowly stood up from my seat. With each step I took, I walked towards Elena, my heart burdened by an unfamiliar mix of determination and sadness. When I spoke, my voice carried a tone that was new to my ears, a blend of absolute certainty and profound sorrow. I told her something that was incredibly difficult to express but needed to be shared. Elena had ruined our marriage beyond repair. She had not thought of me even once before engaging with someone else. Moreover, she had not cared about her own sister. She had been a selfish and horrible wife and sister. It was clear that I had to detach myself from Elena completely. She had done enough, and I knew deep down that it would take me a lot of time to heal. As I stepped out of Selena's home, I was crying and hurting too. My wife had betrayed me and had been unfaithful to me. I had loved her so dearly. I had never engaged in any unfaithful act in my entire marriage because I respected her so much. I could not imagine separating from the person I loved the most, but it needed to be done. I called my lawyer to file for divorce and proceed legally. As the word got out about what Elena and Mike had done, it created a big shock. People in our group of friends felt surprised too. The stuff they did was horrible, and even friends who used to really like them started saying bad things about them. You know, the close bonds we all had in our families, which used to make us feel really strong and close, now felt different because of the not so good things they did. Selena turned out to be even stronger than I was, which was admirable. She had hired a lawyer and she had fought for the complete custody of her daughter. She won the case and got custody. Mike's acts had made it very easy for her. Elena's infidelity in our marriage favored me greatly during our divorce. The journey toward healing was far from a simple, straightforward path. I had known that I would have to go through a lot of pain to ultimately feel better. I had to go through therapy to cope up with the grief that I was going through. It was not easy at all, but I was just lucky to have my friends and family by my side. They made sure to pull me out of my depressing phases whenever they overwhelmed me. It was my mom who actually pushed me towards this option of taking mental help, or I would have never even considered it. When I look back, I realized that my urge for revenge wasn't only about making those who harmed me feel the same pain. It transformed into a journey of discovering who I am, finding the strength to keep going, and starting fresh. The scars from being betrayed might stay with me, but they show me how much inner power we have to conquer even the most complicated challenges in life. After my divorce, I assumed I would stay in that pain forever, but that turned out to be wrong. With time and effort, it is possible to overcome every pain that is thrown your way. I never talked to Elena again, even though she tried to reach out to me a lot. But I am glad I did not respond. I am very happy with where I am in my life today, and I don't regret anything.